My name is Harriet Irby. I have lived in Arlington, Texas since 1970. I came here as a young mother with two very small children. I was married at that time to Harriet Singh, who by training was a geophysicist. Just simply living the American dream, although in the early 70s, a number of our neighbors found that quite astonishing, that a geophysicist from India would come to their very polite Protestant neighborhood. I identified very early because of the George McGovern campaign in 1972 with the Democratic Party. I was a Democrat before, but I was very taken with Senator McGovern's straightforward attitudes about things, his obvious desire to use government as an instrument to better the lives of ordinary people, his vast knowledge of American history, particularly American labor history, his service in World War II. I thought he was a very fine man, and I still do. I got very involved in that campaign. My mentors at that time were Betty Fisher, who still lives in Arlington and is still indispensable to the Tarrant County Democratic Party, and Margaret Carter, who most people don't know about, but Margaret Carter was a dedicated Democrat whose husband was the Tarrant County chair back in the days when Adlai Stevenson ran against Dwight Eisenhower, and Dwight was a military man from Denton, Texas, essentially, and that was a tough campaign. But Margaret was dedicated. She was also dedicated to real democracy, and one of her goals was to enable ordinary people to function in the Democratic Party to their very highest level. And she was adamant. She was the original little old lady in tennis shoes. She would take on the labor unions, the Baptist preachers, the white ones and the black ones, and battle it out with all of them. And Margaret's primary achievement had to do with the delegations to the state conventions. Because before Margaret, if you were a delegate to the state convention, and in those days we had to fight over it, really fight over it, and you couldn't go to state, the elected delegation chair replaced you. You had no say who went to state in your place. So if you were a little old lady in tennis shoes and you got sick, you could pretty much count on a Texas labor guy or maybe a Baptist preacher standing in your place, because these were the people who usually had it in with the delegation chair. Margaret fought across the state of Texas to change that party rule so that delegates to the state convention have first choice in replacing themselves from the alternates, an alternate of their own persuasion, of their own gender, of their own race, you know, if this sort of thing was available. And I thought that was just great. I thought that was democracy.